footpath looked beautiful. The service was amazing. Naomi looks incredible. And look at this stunning venue, ladies and gentlemen. It's certainly been emotional.
Yes, Lloyd, it has been emotional. Even the cake's in tears. Right. I was actually running that gag in for another Best Man speech. I think I'll bin it.
So I think you should.
The formalities.
Rosalind, Alan, Bonnie, Anthony, grandparents, relatives and friends, and of course, the new Mr. and Mrs. Hecker.
We'd better introduce each other as well. This is Lloyd. Great dad, devoted husband, sporty, funny, responsible, reliable, trustworthy, hard-working, good-natured, clean-cut, basically a bit of a geek.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is Craig. He is, it's Craig, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks for the intro, Woody. Anyway, enough of this tomfoolery. We're supposed to be delivering a slick speech, so on to our groom. Growing up with Simon certainly had its perks. He lived in a beautiful house in Stanmore, and for those of you who had the pleasure of going round there when I would have welcomed him in place, Bonnie and Anthony always made it.
During the summer months, it was like being a member of our own private country club. Table tennis, board games, and football in the pristine garden. Anthony loves his garden. And a big enough space to get up to all kinds of mischief undetected.
And it's fair to say, in his early days, Simon was above average at most sports. He often frustrated his friends by constantly winning at everything. Table tennis, snooker, golf, but his passion was undoubtedly netball. Obviously, it was football.
You would have thought, with such a love for the game, he would have at least committed his allegiance to the one team. First it was Man United, brief fling with Watford, and now the mighty Spurs. Simon being Simon, just couldn't make his mind up, but we'll come on to that point a little later.
In his prime, Simon was to the Maccabi League what Ryan Giggs is to the Premier League. Quick, skillful, nimble, a sweet left foot. His only Achilles heel, pardon the pun, was his Achilles heel.
Alongside a catalogue of injuries that included ankle ligaments.
Twice.
Groin strain.
Twice.
Hamstring.
3 times.
Twisted knee.
Just the once, I think. And alongside that, some innocuous injuries that included a cricked neck, a tweaked back, a bruised toe.
Piles.
I'm just doing football injuries.
Despite all these injuries, and Simon now being in his early 30s, he still manages to play every Sunday. Having said that, he's definitely lost that yard of pace. He's not quite as skillful as he once was, and nimble has now been replaced with brittle. Nevertheless, he soldiers on.
And now that Naomi and Simon live together in a lovely house in the Mill Hill / Edgware borders, playing football in the garden, unfortunately, has been replaced with mowing the lawn and trimming the bush.
Okay, moving on. For those of you that have visited Simon and Naomi's humble abode, there can be no argument as to who wears the trousers in that house. It's clearly Simon.
Yeah, right under his apron.
Simon has accumulated several nicknames over the years we have known him.
Hecker.
Hex.
Heckler.
Popcorn Head in his curly days.
Little Boy.
Oompa Loompa.
Ronnie Corbett's love child.
Danny DeVito's albino twin.
Small but fat.
You get the picture.
However, the nickname that has most longevity is most widely used by all, and whoever knows it describes him best, is
the fence. To define fence for you, ladies and gentlemen, a fence is a freestanding structure designed to restrict or prevent movement across a boundary.
In human terms, Simon likes to, as they say, sit on the fence, undecided of which two sides to support, uncommitted or neutral. Basically, the boy can't get off it.
This describes Simon to a T.
Although we're not saying decision making isn't a strong point, or are we, Simon? I'm not sure.
I mean, Simon used to be indecisive, but, well, now he's not so sure, mate, are you? To corroborate this inability to make any kind of decision, dithery, some call it, let us take you back.
So, it's Simon's first date.
With a girl.
Multiple phone calls to Lloyd and I, and the conversation went something like this. Where shall I take Naomi, boys?
Italian side.
Great idea, mate, great idea. However, I fancy Thai, mate.
Go Thai then, Si.
Yeah, mate, Thai. Although, Italian is more romantic, mate.
Agreed. Go Italian then, Si.
Yeah, mate, but I do love a green curry, mate.
Oh, for heaven's sake, Si, just go Thai. Please, don't be near me, your mate. Anyway, after much deliberation, we made the choice to book absolutely nowhere. Instead, he spent the night driving around Muswell Hill, finally ending up in Golders Green and going for a stomach-satisfying coffee.
Was there a nightcap afterwards, I hear you ask? Well, this actually would have to have called for a decision. Should I invite her to mine? Maybe a bit forward. Plus, I have football in the morning. Let me think. Stay with Naomi or play football in the morning. Either way, probably going to pick up a groin strain.
Now, we're giving you a hard time here, Simon, and only painting the picture to suit our speech. We really need to caveat the whole offensive by telling you about the time Simon finally got off of it.
For about 10 minutes at least. So, let us take you back even further. A cold February morning in 2003, 7:30 AM. Usual delays in the Jubilee line, fine rain, the type that soaks you through. Simon is silently flirting with a girl sitting opposite him for the 5th time within many weeks.
Then Naomi gets on the train. So Si, throwing all sorts of glances at Naomi, closing his eyes slightly in what seems like a sultry stare. We only found out later he was actually trying to make out the words on the growth pills advert above the seats.
Anyhow, we digress. If memory serves us correctly, Simon, after downing a quarter bottle of 80 proof vodka, made his move as the train was pulling into that famous, romantic love spot where many a relationship, I'm sure, has blossomed, where Cupid's arrow has struck many a time.
Neasden. God forbid you could have waited for West Hampstead. For the sake of comedy value, ladies and gentlemen, we have embellished this tale a little. You may